Henry's good deeds. One day, the Fat Controller came to give the engine some very important news. A rare bird called the Sodor Warbler had arrived back on the island after a long winter. There will be lots of visitors coming to see the bird, the Fat Controller told the engines, so you must be careful not to frighten it. Yes, sir, they replied happily. Henry, said the Fat Controller, you must be really useful and deliver a nesting pole for the warbler to Bluff's Cove. But Henry was worried about his task. After all, he was such a big engine, and the warbler was just a little bird. But he was determined to be a really useful engine. Along the way, Henry saw Thomas ahead of him. The little blue engine had stopped to let Farmer McColl's sheep cross the tracks. Thank you, Thomas, said Farmer McColl as he followed his sheep. That was a good deed. Well done. You're welcome, beamed Thomas. As Henry watched Thomas chuff cheerfully away, he had an idea. I would like to help someone, he said to himself. Then they will call it a good deed and say, Thank you, Henry. I'd like that. So Henry decided that while he was delivering the nesting pole, he would do a good deed as well. As he puffed along, he saw Farmer Trotter's pigs snuffling by the track. They didn't seem very happy and kept looking at a muddy field on the other side of the track. Henry knew just what to do. He put on his brakes and slowly eased to a stop to let the pigs cross. They looked much happier rolling in the mud, but Farmer Trotter wasn't happy at all. I was taking these pigs to the county fair, Henry, he said angrily. Now they are too muddy. Henry was very sorry. He hadn't done a good deed after all. A tooting noise came from the distance. Thomas was rushing towards Henry, carrying visitors to see the Sodor Warbler, but he had to stop for all the pigs. Cinders and ashes, cried Thomas. The warbler has been spotted in Fenland Fields. I have to get these visitors there as soon as possible. An idea for another good deed flew into Henry's funnel. I'll take them, Thomas, he said. It's on my way, and I can get there much faster than you. Thomas thought this was a very good idea, and so his surprised passengers climbed into Henry's carriages. Henry whizzed away to Fenland Fields. He arrived in record time and was very happy to have done a good deed. In fact, he was so happy that he let out a loud whistle of happiness. Toot! Then there was trouble. A beautiful bird flapped and flew from the tree, high into the sky. The visitors let out a groan of disappointment. Oh no! Gasped Henry. That must have been the Sodor Warbler. He was so upset. He hadn't helped the pigs, Farmer Trotter, or the visitors. He hadn't even managed to deliver the nesting pole. Poor Henry was sure no one would ever say, well done to him now. A colourful bird fluttered down and rested onto Henry's fender as he set off for Bluff's Cove, and Henry smiled at it sadly. As Henry puffed into the station, he saw the bird watchers gathered to try and catch a glimpse of the Sodor Warbler. As he got closer, the crowd began to cheer. They smiled, waved, and took photographs of him. It was very strange. Thomas puffed up next to him. Well done, Henry, Thomas smiled. You've brought the Sodor Warbler with you. Henry couldn't believe it as he looked down at the little bird. He'd done a good deed after all.